Hey everybody, I'm Adam Countryman, and this is the Countryman Sessions, a podcast for artists inside and outside of ministry. You're listening to episode 20, Sue Countryman with Dave Madden. Sing the song!
Choose Countryman. Choosing for your country. Man and woman, got a question? Just asking, long as you don't sass him. Choose Countryman.
Oh, so you're not going to participate? Is that what's happening right now? I was going to say something else, and now I can't remember what it was. It was important. It was about Don Henley, probably. All right, here we go. We got to make it to Jimmy Changa's by noon, so we got to crank this thing out.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Countryman Sessions. So glad that you have tuned in. Make sure you're telling a friend. I don't know what's happening out there, but I don't hear people talking about it in the gas stations when I'm going in to buy a Diet Coke after I fill up on unleaded. So I would like it if you all would just keep talking about it. Tell a friend. Tell an enemy. You know, I don't care. I don't care if you like them or not, but if they could tune in, that'd be great. Today is Dave Madden Day on the Countryman Sessions. It is a day that really has been coming for quite some time. The most mentioned, Landon, correct me if I'm wrong, the most mentioned person on the podcast that has not been on the podcast yet, correct?
It's close. It's between him and Meatloaf.
Yeah. But I think Dave actually maybe the most mentioned by guests.
Yes.
Not by me,
yes.
Obviously. I have a meatloaf fetish. And so anyway, Dave's here, and it's great to have you here, Dave. Thanks for coming all the way in from Austin to the studio to meet.
Woo!
Here I am, baby.
Perfect start. Mr. Linen himself.
That's right. That's
Wearing
right.
a linen shirt.
It's close enough.
Is it not linen?
It is now.
Good thing we're not on video. So, Dave, you and I met in Boston, and I believe the year was 2001.
Yeah, 9/11 was my first day of college.
That was a crazy day. Mm-hmm. That was my first day of my second year there, but I remember pulling on the door to the Uchida building and then having this guy pull it closed again, and I was like, I'm going to smash you in the mouth. And he locked the door and he threw a sign up on it because it was like 9:03 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
And he put a sign on it. It said closed for terrorist attack.
You're like, huh?
I was like, very funny. And then the Prudential Center behind us started evacuating. And I was like, oh no, this is not good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was your first day.
Yeah, but by the second day, I was learning funk and fusion comping styles on the keyboard. So, you know.
Back to the important
things. We're like, how long could this conflict possibly last? Let's get funky.
There's no way this is going to stay. Yeah, and then we couldn't fly out for Thanksgiving because Logan Airport was still closed down. Mm-hmm. But that's neither here nor there. So, yeah, we met in that setting in Boston, and I was trying to think, like, when was the first time? And the first thing I can remember, which it may or may not be true, was watching you play in a band at a frat house. And I think I was running audio.
Yeah, that's my memory of it.
Okay, so that is still a valid memory.
It was one of those beautiful old MIT frat brownstones that looked like it had been there for 500 years, probably had.
Yeah, and inside it was just being trashed with spilled beer and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was with Nat.
Yep.
That gig with Natalie Stovall, who, shout out, is still killing it.
Still very much killing it. And is having a baby.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
Congrats.
Yes. Many congrats. Many words of affirmation to you, Natalie. And I love watching you on the Opry Circle. It's very good. So, so then we started playing together, and I don't know how to say this, maybe. But, like, I didn't like you. Like, I don't think you liked me. Like, I don't know. We didn't like, it wasn't like an active dislike, but it was like, oh, you're this thing, you're doing this kind of thing, you understand that, and you're kind of this guy over here. And it was kind of this weird meshing of, I was really into just like pop and what will work, and you were really into like being cool and creative, and so similar to how we are today.
Yeah, we butted heads right away. It is true.
Yeah, and I remember then we moved to Nashville at some point to play with Natalie, and we were coming home from a gig, and we weren't like talking, a bunch, but I remember saying something like, what band I think you would really enjoy is this band Dada, and you were like,
what?
How do you know Dada?
How do you know?
How do you know Dada? Like, I thought I had this gem.
Yeah.
Of like, no one knows this band, and they're amazing, and they're right up your alley. You would love, and I was like, this is going to win me,
right,
the hearts of man.
And then I knew their entire catalog deeply. Had spent my childhood learning all the bass lines, but both of us had.
Yeah,
we both were as much of a fan as you can possibly be,
which is so random.
Mm-hmm.
And,
it is.
And amazing. So then we've been fast friends ever since.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the end of the story.
The end. Bye.
Then we played a lot of songs. Many songs.
Bunch of great things.
Since that time together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I will always do the gig if you're on the gig, if I can do it. And you're always my first call guy for anything and everything. I love doing shows and projects with you because I get to then take all the credit for your hard work, which I realize sounds bad, but it's not. It's it's pretty bad.
Okay, we've gotten confirmation that it is bad.
It is. Landon's shaking his head. That is the definition of bad.
It's actually, judges, bad.
Yeah. So you're a professional musician, and you're the quintessential definition of this professional musician here as sideman, headliner, arranger. Talk to us about what does it mean to be a sideman for those who maybe are like, what is that?
Sideman is being called upon to use whatever skills you have at your disposal to increase the quality of the project that you're on. So many times that's going to be a singer, a songwriter, asking you to play some kind of an instrument on their thing. You might be a utility guy like you are and I am, and usually that term utility man or utility person means multi-instrumentalist, somebody who can I can play acoustic guitar on this thing, I can do the keyboard part on this thing, I can learn all the background vocals, kind of make yourself indispensable. And a big part of my motivation for learning music, I always had this thing as a kid, I don't know where it came from, but not knowing how to do something was really frustrating to me. Not just frustrating, it was unacceptable. So any situation when I was really young that I'd find myself in where it was like, well, can you do this thing? I wouldn't just learn how to do it. I'd learn every chord in every permutation on a new instrument or something. I'd just I guess I'd have to learn how to play the bass guitar now and practice for 10 years because I don't want to not know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're the same way. Well, I don't know if your motivation is the same, but you play all the same stuff that I do pretty much.
Except trombone.
Except the trombone.
Yeah, I learned at some point in our lives that you played very well trombone.
And recently accordion now.
Right. I mean, I can probably fake accordion.
Okay,
I can go get my accordion if you want to
do
it on
it's
the air.
the buttons.
It's the buttons.
It's the and the squeezing at the same time. I
It's
feel
the
like
squeezing and the buttons. Yeah, it's a lot going on there for sure.
It's a lot, and it makes me think of anyway.
Sideman.
Yeah,
That's being hired by somebody else to play music. It helps to be good at it. Helps be good at music if you're gonna, put your name on the line there.
So, have you had a sideman gig where you show up to do the sideman thing, and you're like, this original content is so bad, I'm just gonna grin and bear it, or do you always try to make it better?
You read, being an artist at all there's so much reading the room. There's so much reading the complex chessboard of interpersonal dynamics, vibes, monetary considerations, the budget. You get really good at finding this.
Working cheap.
I am working cheap. You get really good at reading these really ultra complex situations, emotional, spiritual, time management wise, everything, and learning how to make these little decisions in the moment. There's a time when it's the right thing to do, where you read the room and you're like, I think I should be the one to step up and try to make this thing better, or talk about how the songwriter wrote this chord thing in there, but it's not really working, and if we just made this one change, it's going to be better, you know. But it's not always the time or the place to do that.
Right. Yeah, I think that discernment only comes with reps, right? Like you show up and you end up not getting called back, and you're, I guess I overstepped my bounds.
Yeah, no, it's super important to know your boundaries. I mean, it's like top 3 things that I would tell young musicians is something akin to knowing healthy boundaries and figuring that out with any project, so that you know what is expected of you and you know what is not expected of you, and what, no thank you, we have enough cooks in the kitchen, you don't need to be because there's, I won't name any names, but there's sometimes that guy who you're like, we have a 2-hour rehearsal block, we are barely, if maybe not going to get through everything, and there's somebody with like their great ideas, and you're like, hey man, that's great, but we don't really have time for great ideas, we have to get through the stuff. Yeah,
and that's always so interesting too, because we've started rehearsals before for events and we've said, okay, no one has ideas,
right?
Like we this is not the time. Maybe later at dinner, if you have something that you are just begging for, then we can entertain that, but
yeah,
not right now. So you also have your own project. You've been a headliner for a long time, a recording artist, songwriter, and there was an album, which we'll talk a little bit about later, that we recorded in Boston, and I want to say it was January of 2002 or 2003, and we recorded a lot of it in the apartment that I was living in at the time.
I remember.
And the heat was out, and it was Boston in January, and it was miserably cold. And we spent, I don't know how many, like a week or 2 in that apartment, like recording this record in the freezing cold.
Just bootstrapping it, you know?
Yeah.
Just friends and getting it done, and barely any money.
Yeah, and probably no booze, or, some booze.
I don't know about that, yeah. I mean...
Yeah, well, that was...
You should tell the background story behind our theme song.
Oh, yeah, well, I was going to get there, but since you brought it up,
my apologies.
Yeah, no, let's just call this segment Stealing Adam's Thunder. I like that. Landon's like, wow, really sassing me on this episode. So speaking of songwriting, our theme song was originally written by Dave Madden.
That is true.
Those who don't know. And it originally started when I was toying with the idea of running for railroad commissioner. And hypothetically, and in a joking way, but Dave knew if you're going to run for railroad commissioner, you got to have a good theme song, especially if you don't know anything about what a railroad commissioner does. It's helpful to have a good theme song. And then it was adopted into the Countryman Sessions theme and recorded. Dave's playing piano on the track, and just fantastic, really. I mean, I think it's maybe your quintessential flagship piece that you'll be remembered for, but hopefully not.
Thank you. And Adam, actually, I brought a special thing.
Oh, he's reaching into a bag. He has a Penske file, ladies and gentlemen.
I didn't know if this was going to come up or not, but
that's amazing.
Unfortunately, I am serving you a notice of copyright infringement.
Oh no,
Landon, I have a copy for you as well.
Oh no,
this is a pre-litigation demand.
It's from a real attorney.
This is from Andrea Villarreal, a friend of mine who's a real attorney, and this has not been filed yet, but we do need to settle here, preferably on this podcast right now, or else this will get filed and be a real lawsuit.
Oh my, yes.
Would you like to read from the first paragraph, Adam?
Well, no, not really, but I will. Dear Mr. Countryman. Oh, I love that the just for those who are listening, the address says care of whatever garage or home studio he records in. It says, please be advised that I've been retained by David J. Madden herein after Mr. Madden, or the aggrieved party. Sorry, reading's hard. In connection with the enforcement of his copyrighted work, Choo Choo Choo's Countryman. It has come to our attention that you have been using the musical composition and derivatives thereof in an unauthorized manner, and therefore you are hereby placed on formal legal notice. Please read this in its entirety.
I'd actually like to skip ahead. Landon, if you could please read section 2, the infringing use.
You have adopted the composition as the theme song for the Countryman sessions, causing it to be reproduced and publicly performed each episode under 17.
Oh, no.
Section 106. Without credit, acknowledgement, or any expression of basic human gratitude toward Mr. Madden. We further note that the version in use substitutes the lyric, "You got questions, just ask him, as long as you don't sass him," quote. For Mr. Madden's original, elect a good listener for railroad commissioner, quote. A change made by your producer, one Landon Mills, hereinafter the lyrical interloper, who is hereby placed on notice of the mildest but most official variety. This constitutes an unauthorized derivative of the composition.
And I just want to say here, I just want to take a break to know that Adam did text me.
Yeah.
Can I use this song? And I replied, I believe, with just the word yes. But Adam, could you please read section 3, titled "The Matter of the Text Message"?
Yeah. Well, and I was wondering if this was going to come up. We anticipate you will invoke a text exchange in which you asked, "Are you okay with me using it for the podcast theme song?" And Mr. Madden responded, "Yes. We urge you in the strongest possible terms. Do not get excited about this. At law, a valid license requires consideration, defined scope, and mutually agreed terms. This exchange constitutes at best an informal oral license, one that is revocable at will, lacking in duration, and most critically, entirely silent on the matter of compliments. See generally."
Yeah, you can see that later. So I don't know if you have any initial thoughts here, Adam.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't quote me in saying that text messaging is not an official form of communication.
A missed opportunity.
Yeah, so I'll have to call Mrs. Villarreal and talk to her about that.
So let's just move on to demand for settlement. This is section 5, Roman numeral V. Option A, monetary settlement. Remit $5,000 by certified check, Venmo, or a sack with a $sign on it.
Okay.
Within 30 days.
Can it be just a sack with a $sign, or does it have to actually have the money in it?
It has to have the money in it. Okay, you can turn the page. Option B at the top, perpetual verbal tribute. In every episode, without exception, you shall verbally credit Dave Madden as composer of the theme song and deliver an original, good faith compliment in his direction, spoken aloud on the recording in your own voice. Exact wording is left to your discretion and need not be identical each episode by way of non-binding example. And you could read this, Adam, if you'd like.
And our theme song, and I am legally and contractually obligated to say this under the penalty of federal copyright infringement, was composed by Dave Madden, who is, and I am also contractually obligated to say this, just a really handsome guy.
The compliment may be spontaneous, it may be heartfelt, it may not be perfunctory or dismissive. You may not say it in a funny voice intended to undermine its dignity, and you may not, under any circumstances, deliver it sassily. Okay.
I don't know if that's contractually enforceable.
We shall see. Landon, could you read option C for us, please?
In lieu of options A or B, all claims shall be fully released if the Countryman Sessions Patreon achieves a total of 10 paid subscribers within 30 days of the date of this letter. Upon verification of said milestone, Mr. Madden agrees to drop all charges, grant a full release, and consider the matter resolved. His generosity being, it must be said, genuinely remarkable. Mr. Madden notes that this option uniquely allows defendant's own listeners to ride to his rescue, which is either very convenient or very embarrassing, depending how it goes. Mr. Madden trusts you will choose wisely.
That's pretty much it. We have, as a final page, we have a one-page settlement agreement, which the three of us will need to sign.
Naturally.
And possibly frame.
Oh, I definitely think it's going to be framed. Yes. So this is shocking. and very official. I enjoy this, and I am going to opt for option C, attributed to Mr. Madden's amazing, remarkable.
Generosity.
What was the word I was supposed
Generosity.
Generosity.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is quite remarkable, actually.
Remarkable and handsome generosity. And we would like all of you to bear in mind that if you don't go sign up for the Patreon so we can hit these subscribers within 30 days.
We are going to file this lawsuit, for real.
They're going to file the lawsuit, but more importantly, we will be bankrupt because we don't have $5,000.
It seems like a you problem.
So, please, just it's 10. It's reasonable. It's reasonable.
Do we have a pen anywhere?
Yeah, we'll sign
Okay.
here. Looking for my Harry Potter
That
quill.
darn Penske file.
I love that it came in a Penske file. Here, I got one, Landon. Let's see here. All right, defendant, the podcast guy. Well, what I've been reduced to.
If I could get that.
Yes, please. There you go.
my John
Thank you.
Hancock on there.
Oh my, that is
And then
troubling.
down at the bottom it says witnessed by, and this will be for Landon. It says, note, the lyrical interloper Landon Mills is not a party to this agreement, but is aware that he is being watched.
Oh my.
If only I could ever be less aware that I'm being watched.
And you are the guy editing this, Landon. So I suppose you could just not include any of this. But let's honor that. You know, we'll sign this. It is now signed. We'll post a picture of it on the socials, and we'll get somebody to get a frame up in here. And this is perfect, actually. I love this. So as a songwriter, how do you?
So anyway, choose Countryman.
So how do you? Man, I'm so thrown off now because I'm worried about the legal retributions of anything I say.
We'll get Lou on it. You'll be okay.
That'd be great. So we were recording this album in Boston, and it was all your original music. I thought it was really good. We had all of our friends playing on it. It was a blast. And you've gone on to since do much more music, and it's been amazing. But you also do a lot of arranging for other people and their songs. If you were to qualify yourself, so somebody says Dave Madden, right? Mm-hmm. What are you? Who are you? Are you a pianist first, a musician first, an arranger first, a songwriter first? Like, what's the list? If you were forced to be like, what do you do?
Yeah. What is it that you would say you do here? Yeah, my elevator pitch is terrible. I think what I ended up doing on my business card is putting Dave Madden, musician, and then under that putting like the 12 things that I do, because I've specifically built a career. One, variety is the spice of life. So I would get super bored having to do one or two things all the time. No matter if it's one of my favorite things to do, I don't want to do it all the time. I would put musician at the top of that list. I put songwriter pretty close to the top. I don't know if we'll get to. I run a songwriting group.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
So I'm in this position of kind of leading a huge gaggle of other songwriters and trying to mentor the younger members and stuff like that. But I see it as holistic. I am a music theory first nerd guy. The universal way that I see music is all deeply connected and kind of one thing. I know it's very hip to say that an artist is genre bending or whatever, but in my case, it really does span the gamut from like dark orchestral classical music to Bob Wills style Western swing to straight up Frank Sinatra jazz. I mean, it's really all over the board.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult question to answer, but songwriter's up there near the top.
Yeah. Well, you and I have both been very blessed to get to do a lot of different things in a lot of different avenues of music, and music has allowed us to do a lot of different things. And I think that is something that not every musician gets to do.
Yeah.
If you are somebody who's just teaching, or this is what you do. You're a teacher first, and so you're in this avenue, this lane.
Right.
And I like the various lanes. I like that a lot. So what does it mean to be a professional musician for those who may be listening that want to go into it or want their kids to go into it? You had sent me a note a while back about like the Eskimos have 60 different words to describe this one thing.
Right.
And music just has one.
Yeah.
Unpack that a little bit for us.
Yeah, it's that, the Eskimos, or please don't write to us, Inuit, whatever the correct word is, for that have like 60 different words for snow. Snow that's powdery and light, snow that's wet and good for sledding, because so much of their world has to do with snow that they need all these different words for it. In music, we have this one word, music, and it means 60 different things to 60 different people. So in the role of, especially like a producer, let's say if you're making a recording and somebody has hired you to come into a recording studio and kind of create the container for the thing, shepherd it through to completion, that can mean dozens of different things. And it's also possible that this goes back to reading the room, that if you don't get that right, especially for your client, if you don't line up with them on a philosophical level and go, I actually like to do the thought experiment of, I go, okay, look, we go through this whole thing. It's over. Maybe there's a record release show, it ends at 11 o'clock at night. Everybody goes home. You go to sleep. You wake up the next morning. What do you want to have happened then? Let's talk about that 4 months before we get to that moment, because it's so common that somebody will wake up in that moment and they either know why or don't know why they feel like the thing didn't happen. So you can either help them to make that thing happen, or to guide their expectations into a more realistic place. A lot of young musicians think that they're going to release this song or this album and then everything's going to be different. And it's not that you need to burst their bubble, but you need to kind of set some realistic guidelines and expectations for their own mental health, spiritual health after the fact. So that's a big part, I think, of experience and being a producer, is laying out that kind of foundation, and with very clear communication and healthy boundary setting.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say, like, that's born out of having been there at one point yourself, and experiencing waking up the next day being like, well, did this thing actually happen? Is it done? Is it over?
For sure. I mean, for a year and my entire adult life, we have been, and all of our peers, songwriters, musicians, people who are trying to build a name for themselves, trying to build a career, have what I refer to as the conversation. That's capital T, capital C, the conversation, which is like the ever messy intersection of art and commerce. There's no figuring it out. There's no beginning or end to the conversation. You just have to keep having it. And I know that the people that we know who are 20, 25 years old today, who are writing songs, figuring out how to record them, figuring out how to release them, are in some ways in like a brave new world of like TikTok placements and playlists on Spotify. But in a different way, it's the same as it's always been. It's always been kind of an impossible nut to crack. How do you do this? How do you like pour your heart out onto the page, make it into a thing, get it out into the world, get people to pay attention to it? It is not easy.
Yeah, that's so true. And it is, I think we use it, I use it. I'll just speak for myself. Like, I use it as a crutch sometimes to be like, well, you guys don't know, because it's just, you immediately put music out and it's just there. It's so readily accessible. Like, we used to have to like do this thing and then send it off to the CD replicator and then make artwork and then put it in this thing and then go play a gig to sell this thing. It's, everything is so readily available now that I do think that as the landscape shifts, and it'll only get, more and more, it'll just continue to change, I think, regardless.
If I can go back to, I didn't answer, you had a question about what would you tell a young person, what would you tell their parents about, I've got a kid.
Yeah.
First thing I'll say is I would oversimplify and tell a young person there's two big paths. One, you either need to be the very best in the world at one thing, like truly, not just a good singer, a great singer, an excellent singer, you need to be so good at singing that every single time you sing, it like murders the entire room. No one's ever the same again. That's how good you need to be. If you're not that, and for what it's worth, I'm not that good at any one thing, probably. The other way to do it is to diversify, and to be good or really good or great or even excellent at a couple different things, and to diversify your income portfolio in that way. Those are two big paths. The first path is pretty dangerous.
But isn't that kind of how everybody starts? They're like, well, I'm gonna be a piano player. I'm gonna be a bassist. I'm gonna be the best bassist that's ever bassed.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I am not the best bassist. You start to realize, like, I remember getting to Berkeley and being like, oh, I'm not good. Like,
right.
It was very humbling because you come from this bubble in this pond in which you're doing really great. Then you get there and you're like, oh, I am an imposter. I have to figure this out. And you get better. It makes you better at the thing that you showed up to do, obviously. Right. And you continue to strive in that. But for me, it was like, until I got to Berkeley, I think I considered myself a guitar player that played bass. Mm-hmm. And I identified as a bassist to get scholarship money.
Right.
To get into school. And then when I got there, I'm like, oh no, I am a bass. Like it was a change of mentality. But I don't know that I ever really set out to like diversify that musical portfolio until I had the need to do it. And if somebody had told me that early on, that might have been helpful.
You started on guitar, and I have a theory that I think I came up with, which is that when the first thing that a kid touches is the guitar, they get really into the guitar, and then later on they buy a red guitar, and then they buy a hollow body guitar, and then they buy an amp for their guitar, then they buy a sparkly guitar. That's the path of the guitar seems to be this inwardly focused guitar path. If a child touches the piano for the first time, then they want a crappy old acoustic guitar that they fished out of a dumpster. Then they want to learn the bass guitar. Then they start to dabble in songwriting and recording. It's not a hard and fast rule, but I have found it to be really mostly true.
I think that is true, and I did start on piano. So
okay, fair enough.
I think that is true.
Well, look, you turned out to be playing a lot of different things and diversified. So
yeah, your theory holds true in that way. When we talk about how artists that we know that are putting out music now in these various different ways, it used to be that you got paid because you sold a CD, or a tape, or you played a show, but now we have all this different ways of that happening, and the royalty payments are different now, the streaming services, but live music is still, maybe paying better now in some venues. I know certainly when it comes to church musicians, the pay has increased over the years. But can you speak a little bit to that about you're in all these different avenues and different things every day of ways that you're figuring out how to get paid? Like, does everyone need an attorney so they can sue the podcast, or can you navigate?
That's how I make my money. Is I'm doing the Huey Lewis route, suing Ghostbusters, baby. Listen to that bass line.
Hey, that was well deserved.
Oh, it was. That's how they made all their money, right?
Yeah, and it was totally legit.
Yeah,
like, they ripped him off big.
Right.
But I digress. That's for you, Huey.
Yeah, so streaming doesn't make any money, like, period. It's not even worth bringing up the exception to the rule unless you just want to be annoying and be like, Taylor Swift. But, seriously, even a mid-tier band or something is barely making any money on that. Some bands are going back to physical product. I went into the famous record store in Austin, Texas, where I live, which is Waterloo Records, and it's all vinyls, and a bunch of CDs, but the room is full of vinyls, and there's people in there buying them and everything, so maybe there's something to be said for physical product, although that is really expensive to make, especially the vinyls, and especially if you're going to make a good quality vinyl, so I have heard. Here's what I would say, like, people are still going to be songwriters. Young people are going to want to release recordings and everything. I would counsel them to, this kind of goes back to the, like, when you wake up, what do you want to have happened after you go through this whole thing? But I would find some way to leverage that. When you're releasing a song, if it's a single, if it's an EP, if it's a whole record, try to resist the urge for it to be a one-dimensional thing. Like for the story to be so one-dimensional that it's like, I am me, this is my music here. It's like, I don't find that to be particularly interesting. I mean, I know that the music is good. I know that you love the music, but can there be a tie-in? Can it be tied into something else, a different organization, some kind of a cause, a nonprofit, something weirdly artistic about it? Are you going around and playing this weird, quirky kind of venue that nobody else does? Like, what is the story? And I think from early on, I was attempting to do that by releasing music on that big printed out book that I had. I released a record before the streaming days really took off, of only streaming music in this like beautifully printed 20-page book. I didn't know if it was going to work, but it was a way to differentiate myself from the infinite competition of everybody releasing all this music. So just a piece of advice is try to make it interesting.
Well, that was a cool project because it was also like a double album.
A double album, yeah.
Half of which was live in the studio, right?
Yeah, it was kind of two records, and one was like clean and shiny, perfectly produced, and the other half was the exact opposite of that. It was like gritty, imperfect, and some of the songs were the same, so you kind of got to hear the song all shiny and new, and the song all gritty and old, and different.
That was a really that was a great project. We'll mention it here in just a little bit because you can stream it now.
You can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, hey, as an arranger, which I put you kind of, and I, if I had to label you, like, I just think you're such a fantastic arranger and taking these things and making them better. Right. When you're working to make music better for other people and kind of orchestrate it out, how much of that has to be you have to be bought in to the project, and how much of it is like, I'm doing this because I need it done by Friday to make this payday? Like, is there a primary driver in doing that? And also, if I could tag on to that, could you unpack for people maybe what's the difference between an orchestrator and an arranger?
Mm-hmm.
Or, is there one?
Yeah. So I'll start with the first part, and then I'll forget your second question, and you can remind me. So I think it can be both. As far as what you said, is it a payday? Is it bought into the project? I mean, it needs to be both. Everybody needs to make a living. We all got to buy groceries. And then you ideally want to be involved in projects that you have some skin in the game and you care about. One of my biggest pet peeves is some client, could be sometimes a church, who tries to drop this line on you about, I hope you don't just think about this as, just another gig.
Oh, so it's every church.
Oh, so every church.
Every church does that.
That is...
We're different. This is a different thing.
But yeah, we're different.
Yeah.
Everything else you do, I know that's really cute, but this really matters.
Yeah.
That is such a disrespectful thing to say to somebody whose entire career is made up of gigs. I mean, that's our whole life. So when you say that 99% of somebody's life is, just a gig, it's an incredibly disrespectful thing to say. Please don't say that anymore. So I think it can be both. You do want to be bought into their vision, and it's important as an arranger. The last thing that you do is put pencil to paper or computer screen or whatever. I mean, you don't dive into this thing, hear the song, and go, I've got a melodic idea. I want to do this reharmonization thing. That's the last thing you do. What you're trying to do is build an understanding, a container of what the client wants this thing to be, how they want it to feel. If it's a church, I want to know the shape of the space. If this thing's going to be performed in a sanctuary, I want to know how big it is, how many people are there, what the acoustics. I want every piece of information I can possibly get so that I can craft this thing from the foundation up to set everybody up for success. You can do that the wrong way and end up doing a really great job creating this thing that just doesn't really work in the practical application. of the thing. How good are how experienced are the singers? Do the singers read? Right? Can I put some nerdy, beautifully dissonant harmonies in there, or sure, let's keep this all to triads, three note stuff or diatonic stuff. So yeah, all the words, notation, orchestration, arranging, composing, they are mushy. It's a Venn diagram that has a lot of overlap. I would say that arranging is, I wish I had like the Webster defines arranging as in front of me, but that is kind of building new musical ideas and imbuing them into the DNA of some other thing that already exists. So
I'm gonna share it with you.
Yeah.
So Webster's defines arranging as the action of putting things in a particular order, making preparations, settling an agreement, or adapting a piece of music.
Adapting a piece of music.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say with orchestration, how that is different is oftentimes, let's say, let's go into film scoring. So Hans Zimmer, right, or who's the guy, John Williams, he's probably not doing every little black dot
right
on a massive symphonic orchestral score with second and third and fourth piccolos. What he's doing is he's laying out the main themes, the melodies, and maybe important counterpoint melodies. And I really need that to have that here. Getting with an orchestrator, making sure they understand, you see how I want this thing fleshed out, right? Okay, now go do it. So an orchestrator is going to take that and flesh it all out into there's only so many notes. And at some point when you're working with an orchestral score that is like 30, 35 voices and there's only 12 notes and you're probably only using 4 of them at a time because they're chords, you have to start determining where things are doubling up. That would be the job of an orchestrator, is like, okay, well, who's going to play in this A major? It's just an A major chord. We only have 3 choices here. Every instrument has to choose A, C sharp, or E. So is it going to be like piccolo, clarinet, viola? You guys are going to be on the C sharp. This oversimplification, but that's what orchestration would be. Whereas arranging would be like opening up the real book and just having you're just looking at Fly Me to the Moon and you're building something, I think, from the ground up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I think that the orchestrators in the film scoring world, I always felt like the orchestrators they didn't get enough credit.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the composers are creating the lead sheet and handing it to somebody, and then the orchestrator's conducting an 80-piece orchestra
right
to make it happen, coming up with all the parts and then having to conduct it, execute it, all that. It's
sure.
It's pretty crazy to think about the intricacies of it that so many people, especially civilians, you take it for granted. You go see a movie and you're like, oh yeah, okay, without the music, it would be crazy, and maybe it wouldn't even be as effective if it was just what the scorer came up with.
Yeah,
it'd just be like, oh, okay, great. Like when the T-Rex slams his foot down and the music changes, like it's supposed to be this other thing,
dude. And now that I've done my first full length 90-minute film score for a movie called Steal the Naughty List, I really know that on an intimate level, and man, it is so much work. It is so much work to be laying out all those cues and the timing for when the dinosaur's foot hits the ground. It was an enjoyable puzzle. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah, and if you all haven't seen Steal the Naughty List, you should really check that out. It is a wholesome, enjoyable, funny stop motion movie.
Old school stop motion.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's written and created by Nathan Von Minden, and I think it's Angel Studios.
Yeah,
you can get it there, and Amazon. I think you can buy it on Amazon. I think that's where I bought it. But,
yeah.
It's great. So go check that out. Dave Madden scored the whole thing and orchestrated and executed and all of the overlapping words. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about and hear how important, who you are is so important to the work that we're doing. So we'll be right back, and then we'll hear more about that.
Here's my thing about musicians. Okay, the vast majority of self-described musicians know somewhere between nothing and next to nothing about music. And if you're a singer, and that's all you want to be, you don't want to learn an instrument, you just want to sing, well, okay, that's at least a valid position. Though to be clear, it still means a lifetime of apologizing to every instrumentalist you'll ever meet, which to me is a pain threshold that's just too high to bear. But for those singers, fine. Honestly, it's almost a gift in a weird way, because over time, their lack of, well, everything makes us better musicians. But the thing that I don't accept as valid is choosing to be an instrumentalist, choosing to play an instrument, and then spending decades not learning how to play that instrument. I just will never be able to comprehend the cognitive dissonance that is required to wake up day after day, year after year, telling people that you play the guitar while apologizing for not being good at the guitar, and then just going about your life, continuing to not practice, to not improve. And here's the thing, learning music is hard. It's one of the hardest things you can do, but it's not like that hard. Like, you play guitar and you don't know how to play any diminished chords, obviously. Walk over to your guitar, look up how to play a diminished chord, play a diminished chord for the first time in your life. Now keep doing that until you're good at it, but they don't do it. You'll play with the guy. He's apologizing for himself, of course, and then you'll play with him 10 years later, 3 presidents later. We're in all new wars. There's a whole bunch of new fad diets. Pants were skinny, now they're big, and this guy still sucks. And it's like, hey buddy, could you not find a couple hours over the last 10 years? Still not a single diminished chord. Can't swing a dead cat without hitting a G major, and this place is lousy with capos, but you want a diminished chord? Good luck. Sorry everyone, we can't do cheek to cheek. Just pull up Brown Eyed Girl. It's all Brown Eyed Girl from now on.
I don't think that's...
Is that too much?
No!
Hey there, boys and girls, it's your mate Mitch Lou again. As you may have heard, the Countryman Sessions is now under immense legal pressure from the songwriter Dave Madden over the usage of our beloved theme song. Like you, dear listener, I am appalled, not at the litigation, but at Adam's gross mishandling of the licensing process. He's a good kid, but he needs work. So until my cousins can sift through all the legalese and find a hole in Mr. Madden's plot armor, we're going to have to come together as a listening community to meet his demands. Mr. Madden has agreed to drop charges if we can get 10 people to subscribe to our Patreon within the next 30 days. His magnanimity knows no bounds. So go subscribe today at patreon.com/The Countryman Sessions. That's patreon.com/The Countryman Sessions. Patreon.com/The Countryman Sessions. Good yatif.
All right, we're back. Hey, so Dave and I have this thing, and I'm sure it's not just with me, but after we do a gig or a show or something, we always say like, hey, that was another great thing. And it doesn't matter how big the event or the show or the thing is, but at the end of it, we always assume there's going to be something else. Like, why dwell on this? It's over. Let's move on. It was great, but now there's going to be another thing at some point. And I think so much of that is what the work is. We do the work, we put it in, we do the event. It's great. And now we need to move on to this other thing. The piece of that I don't think changes is the idea of the hang. And what makes it so great, and could change a lot about who you are or who you know or who knows you, is the quality of that hang. So how important is this idea of being a professional musician when it comes to this hang aspect, Dave?
It is crazy important. I would say that, like, in the world, in the real world of interacting with real people, you can, if you want to be a musician who is a jerk, you better be really good at music, But that said, if you're not the very best, it is important to be, when you say the hang is important. I guess it means to be like a good person, to be relaxed, to be helpful. To be kind of part of the cohesive unit, for everybody to be on the same team, trying to get the the same thing done. When the hang's not good, it's because somebody's like throwing something into the spokes of the wheel, and it's making everybody else's life harder. Let's all be on the same team here.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I think in so many times as a musician, we're in these different rooms with all these different people from these different places, and we have different belief systems, or we have different values. We vote differently. We argue differently. Like, what's important to us that day may be different than what it was the last time we were on a gig together. And I think, this idea of like, hey, we're coming together to do this thing. We're all on the same team while we're in here. Music's done that for a long time, right? Like, even I was thinking back to like Stack's rhythm section with these two white people that own the studio in Memphis, and they're using all black musicians, and it's a place that you hear about it a lot in those days, like Muscle Shoals, and the idea that like race didn't exist in the studio. Like, we were all in this thing together. When we left and went out to dinner, it was different. You're back out in the real world. We're back out here now. All these prejudices existed. And on a lesser degree, obviously, I think what we're bringing to the table. If we let if our disagreements drive us more than the hang and the value of what we're doing, then we're shooting ourselves in the foot. I mean, you and I disagree on a lot of things, but it doesn't change the fact that like, I want what's best for you, you want what's best for me, and we move forward and we do this thing, right? We can all disagree and still communicate, love, execute projects, play great music, do this gig. And I think we've lost that in the world in general.
Right.
This idea to like coexist and disagree on things. But when it comes to the music and the hang, are there times when you just go, okay, yeah, I'm going to hold my tongue at this part, or I'm not going to bring up this thing? What's the old adage? It's like, don't mention taxes. Don't talk about politics or religion.
Oh yeah,
those are the two lightning
right at a dinner party or whatever.
Yeah, at a dinner party.
Yeah, I mean, music remains to be probably the greatest, most powerful unifier that we still have in the world. This thing of beauty that everybody recognizes as beautiful. It's a common language in the truest sense of the word. It's a common language. It's not like people who disagree have a different set of the 12 notes. We're all working with the same thing, and I think there's a deep respect. I know this to be true, and I know that you too. What's the great Hebrew word shibboleth? Do you know that word? And I probably will butcher it, but it's like if somebody can say this thing with the exact correct pronunciation or accent, now they're in. That they've like passed some kind of a test, and music is very much like that. Not that it always needs to be a test or a competition, but like you can meet a stranger for the very first time, and they can do the tiniest, subtlest little thing on the fretboard of a guitar, and you go, I love you. Like, I know that we spent the same 10 years learning the same things. I can trust you. We share a common language now. It's one of the greatest things about music, and like they're my tribe, musicians, same as you guys as well, songwriters, but I'd always rather be in a room with a bunch of musicians talking shop about music, because it's this beautiful, secret, ancient language that we are the keepers of, that flame. We have inherited this incredible language, and it's our job to like keep speaking it and continue it on, teach it to the kids, keep it going.
Yeah. Man, that was beautifully said.
Well, thank you, Adam.
You're a songwriter?
Yeah. Are you a songwriter?
Should put that in a song. I know when I staff a band, when I'm putting together things, like I always try to be the worst one on stage so that I can learn something, or so that I can take credit for everyone else's hard work. That was a joke. No one laughed.
Little truth in there.
A little truth in there. I love the idea of, if I have the opportunity to bring the group together, being like, well, this will be a lot of fun. That's my first gauge, right?
I think that's important, and like, when you're on a gig with experienced players and the stuff hits the fan, and this isn't going right, and this isn't going right, and somebody kind of complains about it and says like, it's not going right, and I always want to be like, yeah, have you been on a gig before? You know, it's the baseline is not everything is going to go to plan, which
Right.
is all the more reason why the hang is important. Is like, look, man, rare is the gig where the client prepares everybody very well with the correct charts, and the song list never shifts or changes. The event coordinator, the venue is perfectly staffed. The parking is great. The load-in is great. Or maybe everything's backline. The whole gig goes to plan. Everybody goes home happy, and you were fed something better than a bandwich at some point, right? But that is a rare gig. Usually things are going wrong, and at that point it's like, all hands on deck. Let's make this as good as it can be.
Yeah, and I think so much of that is like, even as a music director, you're like, I know I've gotten hired before because people were like, well, we know that the things are going to go wrong, so we just need you to do it because we know that it won't be a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, it won't derail the ship. Train? Sink the ship. Derail the
well,
train?
choo-choo train.
Choo-choo train.
Train.
It won't,
Choo-choos.
it won't derail the choo-choo train. So, in this world of, like, everybody's feelings matter, and God forbid you should upset anyone, as a producer, because you produce quite a few projects.
Yeah.
When you're in the studio producing someone, I think it's different if it's like, I've been in the vocal booth before, and you've produced vocal sessions that I've been singing on.
Yeah.
And you're always very polite to me, but like you're like, okay, that was not great. Let's do that. Let's do that one again. You know, as you're doing this production thing, how do you keep your instinct at bay? This is my own self confession, to be like, that was absolutely terrible without being any good at all. Let's do it again. You know, how do you manage the getting out of people what you think might be in there?
Yeah. That's a great question, a great producer question. And because the nightmare scenario, for me anyway, is always that the singer ends up locked in the bathroom in the fetal position on the floor. That is the thing that you're trying to avoid. And that's not even saying anything negative about singers. What it's saying is the reality that, especially doing vocals in the studio, is really hard. It's taxing physically. It's definitely taxing emotionally, especially if this person wrote the song and they're wearing like 3 hats. They need to sell an emotional performance. They have to technically hit all the notes correctly. And then they're dealing with the digital technology of everything, where probably, if maybe they don't have a lot of experience and they're not used to the fact that they went in there and the audio engineer is telling them, hey, we need to get a level, and they don't realize that they're going to have to sing this thing at the volume that they're going to sing it 4.5 times before they get to even begin to try to get their keeper take. So if they're not used to that, they don't know. You know, there's that crushing thing in the studio that we've all experienced where, like, and this doesn't have to be vocals, it could be instrumentalists as well. There's a group of people, especially if you're not multi-tracking, but you're actually playing together, where you're like, that was it. That was my magical take. And right away they go, we got to go again.
Yeah.
Because there was noise on this thing or whatever. And the important thing is that you need to, like, not flinch when that happens. Like, okay, let's do it again. Even though I know I'll never be able to hit the magic in that same way again. It's just not gonna be in the cards. But yeah, for singers, a great answer to that question, I would actually invoke who maybe someday will be a guest on the podcast, but David Messier, who owns a great recording studio, owns and operates Same Sky Productions over in Austin, Texas, where I live. It's my favorite studio to work out of. And I've learned a lot from him about, like, disarming, especially vocalists who you can sense that they are starting to get in their head a little bit, and they haven't spiraled out. They're not in the fetal position yet,
Right.
but it has started. They're not used to hearing their voice under such a detailed electron microscope. You know, they can hear every little imperfection. So it can be, you know, humor can be a great tool. Taking a break can be a great tool. Saying crazy, nonsensical things can be a great tool. And I've gotten better at that over the years, where somebody will do a thing And what you need out of them is like more emotion. But the way you can say that to them is like, you ever had like a turkey sandwich and you're like, this needs more like Dijon mustard? They're like, huh? What? You're like, like a Dijon mustard is like got a little bit of spice to it, and you like a hot pickle on there. Like, that's what I need out of you. They're like, okay. And you've done a couple things there. You've given them a practical note, if you can get them to understand that, like, I'm looking for this like spicy character to your voice. But you've also like de-stressed them by making yourself the fool,
right?
A little bit, You're like, you have permission now to do anything you want, because look, I'm making an idiot out of myself saying these ridiculous things.
Right.
It relaxes them. You're great at that. You're probably the best.
How I live my everyday life.
I mean, seriously, it's a beautiful thing, and I'm just going to turn it around. I mean, to watch Adam Countryman music direct a large group of people with different experience levels is a beautiful thing, because one of the first things you do is find a way to give everybody else permission that there's no way that they can do something more foolish than you are already purposefully doing, And it's a beautiful thing. It's such a de-stressing element.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And I like that you think it's intentional. I think that proves that's exactly what I was trying to do.
It's one of the biggest things that the time that I was interning with you, that's one of the biggest things I took away going into having to run bands after that, is just be a goober.
Yeah.
Like, be on top of everything that you're doing, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
Musically, logistically, but kind of be a goofball about it. And nobody is going to, I mean, what are they going to do? Like, be stressed out while you're singing like Michael McDonald during the rehearsal? Like,
yeah,
it's just not going to happen.
There's a lot of situations where people's default thing is a little bit of cultural fear, a little bit of like, I'm just going to start by walking on eggshells because I don't know what's going on here. So if as quickly as you can gain their trust and say, I'm stomping all over these eggshells, I'm dancing on them, so you don't have to worry about a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I have found that to be super helpful and disarming, and I think sometimes that works out great. Sometimes it doesn't, but you win some, you lose some. How is let's just talk about you and your songwriting, your projects. So the first project we did together, I think, was the Rooms and Rhymes record.
Yeah.
Which was the one that was recorded in the Tundra.
2000, probably recorded in 02, 03.
I think it was 02.
I think I released it in 04, so maybe we recorded it in 03.
Maybe 03, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was fantastic. It was great. And it was like all of our friends making music together, which was awesome. After you moved to Texas, then you released Anything Goes, which was another great record. And that one was really interesting because it was the first time, I think, that I was a part of a record that was done in so many different places. You did the drums up in New York.
Right.
We did the guitars like in your apartment off of Congress.
Yeah.
I did the bass in San Antonio. Like it was so like it was a great Pro Tools exercise for everybody.
And at the time, the technology probably had only just become good enough for that to even be any kind of a possibility.
Right, and that we all had it. It was like, oh, yeah, I'll track that. And then,
Right.
But yeah, and then it took it was back when you still were bouncing files at like time and a half of the actual record time or whatever it took. It took forever to lay anything down. And then we talked about Broken Wide, Open Eyed. But I want to say this, and you can stream this record, but my favorite Dave Madden record still to this day, I think it is 2011 Live from Momo's.
Yeah.
Live from Austin.
Live from Austin. And you can stream that too. That's the iteration of my songwriting that was like funky 16th note shuffle, 3-piece horn section, background vocals, meant to be kind of a party band, but of original music, which is a tough nut to crack, but big, funky, fun, pop, jazz, high energy, danceable stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And the band was slamming. It was so good. The the recording came out perfect.
Yeah.
And knowing where it was recorded, knowing all those kinds of things come into play. But man, I still show that record to people when it comes to like bro horn arrangements or great just great songwriting in general, and a great show. Like just the way it was put together. I'm assuming that the show played the way the record does.
Yeah.
From this is, you opened with this, you closed with this.
I think that's right.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's a great arc through the whole show. And I loved that. So as you've gone through all these different things and like balanced coming out with original music versus your sideman work, you have a church gig that you do on the regular, and then you go to a bunch of other churches and do all this. Like, what is your prioritization go to when you say like, okay, it's time for me to do a Dave Madden band project? Or does it just come up when it comes up? Like, I have time. Do you try to do a certain amount a year? How do you keep that going, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, increasingly over time, I've learned to prioritize things, to create systems around it. Can I bring up the 1159 songwriting group?
Yeah, it was next on my list, but let's talk about it.
Well, I bring it up because I founded this songwriting group called the 1159 Songwriting Group, founded it in 2018. Currently, we're just finished our ninth annual showcase. The group has won several grants from the city of Austin that have helped to fund the future growth of the group. And also, I just started the ball rolling with the process of making it into a nonprofit, like a formalized 501c3, which will help the group continue to grow into the future. We have 60 members. It's created over 1,200 songs over these 9 years. So incredibly diverse.
1,200 songs?
Yeah, 1,240 I think we're at right now.
Wow.
At least a dozen of them are pretty good. That's a joke. So it's great. But anyway, this group starts on New Year's Day every year, which is the traditional day that the music thing goes a little bit dormant, right? We just had the holidays, eat, drink, and be merry. On January 1st, people set a New Year's resolution. They join a gym, start doing yoga, stop drinking for a month or something, So that's when I decided to annually, like clockwork, to have this thing. So that's one way that I kind of structure my years. Like, all right, I know that no matter what, I'm going to have a songwriting focus come New Year's Day. So when things get away from you and towards the holidays, you're like, all right, I'm in Christmas mode for 2 months. I know that around the corner you've got this other thing. It helps to have that as kind of a tent pole throughout the year to build your other projects around.
How do people become involved in that, in the songwriter 1159 songwriting?
So I mean, I just built it from nothing to what it is now. Now that it's going to theoretically become this nonprofit, that may change, but I've always just been the dictator of the group, and now it's going to be interesting to watch it slowly become a little bit more of a democracy, although that can take a couple years for that to happen because we'll have a board and everything. But the way it happens is I let people into the group, or people come to me and they say, can I be in this group? I say, send me some sample things. It doesn't need to be high quality. The group is so diverse in its technological skill, ability. We have people who turn in these masterpieces they feel like fully actualized masterpieces of recording. And then we have a whole bunch of members that turn in, whispering into a voice memo on their phone. So that doesn't matter to me, the level of technical capability or anything like that. But I try to keep the group really broad as far as age, gender, race, political lean, all that stuff, to make sure that it's kind of an interesting sphere of people to get in there. So yeah, if there is anybody out there, listening, the group is based in Austin, Texas, but we have a handful of members that are outside of that. Maybe over time that can grow more. People really love it. It's shocking to found a thing and then kind of wake up several years later and be like, people actually really like this. It means a lot to them in their life, because you throw stuff at the wall, you never know what's going to work. Mm-hmm. But this did.
Is there a website people can go to check it out, or? Yeah,
they would just go to my website, davemaddenmusic.com, and there's a sub page on there of 1159 stuff of past work, kind of like sizzle reel stuff of our annual showcase. So if they could just check that out there and reach out to me if you got any questions.
DaveMaddenMusic.com. Yeah, and it's a great thing. I've seen 2 of the showcases, I think, over the years, which sounds really weak sauce now that you've said it's been 9 years or whatever. But
we've done it 9 times.
9 times. But it really is fantastic, and everybody should check it out. If you're interested, definitely go to DaveMaddenMusic.com. It is a really cool thing. I love the idea of it starting on New Year's Day, because I always I hit this wall after a thing oftentimes where I get into like the post-show, post-season blues.
Yeah.
You know, kind of this rut of, I've been going every day for 2 months on this thing in this season, and now I have 2 weeks where there's nothing. And
Yeah.
it's a great way to repurpose that time, I think. That's pretty awesome. So you love Austin. You've been in Austin now since 2004.
Yeah, 21, 22 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you guys built a house there in South Austin.
My wife and I spent my 30s just doing a little project, building a house. Yeah, we built a house together. It's wonderful. It was very difficult.
One thing I love about it, and I've mentioned this to you before, is I have 3 kids and no silence.
Mm-hmm.
And you built a house that is quite possibly in the quietest place I've been.
It's peaceful.
And it is
It's out in the country, yeah.
so peaceful and so quiet. Like you can really hear yourself think, which sometimes is scary if you're me. But I just felt like, wow, this is such a cool thing that you guys have built. That's your own thing.
Yeah.
So you did a lot of the work yourself.
Yeah.
And at what point were you like, I think I could be a plumber or an electrician?
Man, if I knew then what I knew now, I would have started it. It's the lack of knowledge of youth is a powerful thing. It lets you. But then again, maybe I wouldn't be a musician either, right? You start these big things, you have no idea what they're going to entail until you're on the other side of them, and you're like, wow, that was tough. That was a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. Because it's not just the I've become quite a good plumber, but also before you get to that, man, it's municipal governments and permitting processes and really dealing with local governments on a minute-by-minute basis, which is also pretty tough.
Something you said to me back then, and I've never forgotten it, and I don't think I ever will, was you said that most of the paperwork was about what happens to your feces.
Yeah. Human civilization, in large part, is kind of built on what we do with septic stuff. And if you've never thought about that, you're, like 99.99% of people, but it's a matter of scale. You get people who try to move out into the country and they're like, I'll figure it out. That's all well and good for one person, but once you try to have a town of 1,000 or 10,000 people, that becomes a big problem, and you get like the Black Death in Europe or whatever because of that. So
I thought it was a great insight, and we like to cover all aspects of things here on the Countryman Sessions. It's not just music.
Absolutely. We're talking in home building.
Yeah, poop.
We can talk about yogurt.
Oh yeah, you do make yogurt as well. It's sack yogurt?
Yeah, you make it in a sack. The sack starts out as empty. It's an empty sack.
An empty sack, if you will.
Yeah, I will. And then you fill it with, it ends up full.
So how long does it take to go from empty sack to then having yogurt?
About a day.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, you've made it seem like it was this whole thing.
Well, you need milk, or a cow or something, but,
Oh. Can you just buy milk?
What I do is I just buy it at the store. What do you do?
To get milk?
Yeah.
I don't use milk.
Oh, okay. But if you had to, Landon, do you have a cow or?
Every once in a while.
I think it's fair to say we've gone utterly off topic.
Hey!
That's it for me! I'm out!
Oh, man. man. Hey, I hope this is the first of many Dave Madden appearances on the Countryman Sessions, not just in name only, which now contractually we're obligated to say his name every time, but just in general. Thank you for the theme song. It is fantastic.
It's the best song I've ever written, like hands down.
Hands down. And there's nothing I love more than running into people who I haven't seen in a while, or like a kid every now and then, and listening to them go like choo choo choo. Like, it's great. It's very rewarding to you as a songwriter, and to me as someone who stole it. And so I appreciate that. And now that it's in legalese, we'll frame that. We'll post it up on the socials. Don't forget to follow us on social media, the Countryman Sessions, on Instagram and on YouTube and all the places that you can find us. Listen, tell a friend about it. And don't forget, per Dave's legal demands and per Lou's request, 10 Patreon subscribers. I mean, it's a reasonable thing, but we need you to go and take care of that today. Like right now, just pull over wherever you're listening to this safely, turn on your hazards, go to patreon.com/Countryman Sessions, sign up for a tier, and then you can get right back on the road. Okay, so go ahead and do that. I want everybody to do it at the same time. That is all for us today at the Countryman Sessions, and we will see you next week.
Choo choo choose countryman. Choo choo choosing for your country man and woman. Got a question? Just asking. Long as you don't sass him. Choo choo choo.